A very good morning to all, and welcome to another training session of iFluids. Our topic for today's session is OISD Standard 114 Safe Handling of Hazardous Chemicals. Let's welcome our trainer for the day, Mr. Srinivasan V. Welcome, sir. Mr. Srinivasan V has over 41 years of experience in refinery, project planning, erection, pre-commissioning and commissioning, HAZOP, LOPA, SIL, bowtie, unit startup and operations training, and development audit, assessment, and quality assurance. PHA operations and project management in the field of petroleum refinery, oil and gas, and chemical plants. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Um, Kindly do make the session interactive. All your sessions queries or doubts shall be answered at the end of the session. In order to ask for your queries or doubts, the link is mentioned in the description in both YouTube and LinkedIn. All your queries shall be answered at the end of the session. Now I request Srinivasan sir to take forward the session.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all the participants. I'm Srinivasan. Today we'll be discussing about the OISD standard 114, which is safe handling of hazardous chemicals, particularly in the oil industries. So we'll be discussing these following items: introduction, scope, definition, explanatory notes, classification of hazardous substances, general guidelines for safe storage and handling and disposal and hazardous chemicals. So now there are safety concerns for oil and gas industry workers, uh, whether it is oil and gas production unit or refinery or terminal or any other location where it is handled, oil and gas is handled. There are some hazards, inherent hazards. It is chemical hazard, ergonomic hazard, physical hazard, biological hazard, and psychological hazards. So, chemical hazards typically deal with toxic fumes, corrosive agents, and various carcinogenous material. Ergonomic hazards, heavy lifting, bending, overhead reaching, pushing and pulling machines or heavy loads. Next is extreme temperatures, radiations, and loud noises and other things. And biological hazards, exposure to various bacteria, viruses, parasites, risk workers' overall well-being. Psychological is workplace violence, isolated work sites, extensive work hours, or fatigue. So these are the hazards. Today we will be basically looking at chemical hazards. Other hazards, anyway, uh, different topics are there. This particular standard restricts to, we will be within that framework of chemical hazards. That is what we'll be looking at. Different types, different ways chemicals occur. It is a liquid, solid, gas, or vapor. Gas, I mean oxygen, pure gas, oxygen, nitrogen, like that. And vapor is ammonia vapor, chlorine, like that. So these are the four ways chemicals appear or handle or appear available in the industry. And what are the categories of chemicals, hazardous chemicals? This can be corrosive, flammable, toxic, reactive, biological, or infectious, carcinogen, or cancer causing, and radioactive. So here, the biological or infectious chemicals and radioactive, this OISD standard is not, this particular standard is not discussing about that. So though it is mentioned, we will not be discussing about this. All the other things will be coming in the picture. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of chemicals available, and there are some chemicals which are incompatible with other chemicals, specific chemicals. So it is very important to know such chemicals and their nature so that there is no reaction. Because if there is incompatibility, reaction happens, then it can be violent or it can produce a toxic materials. So that is what it is written. Chemicals which is in contact with each other cause hazardous reaction, which may be violent or produce toxic materials. So what are those things? Flammables and oxidizers, if they come together, that can be violent reaction. Flammables and any ignition source, then acids and cyanides. All of you know acids and alkalis, and strong acids and strong alkalis. Weak acids and weak alkalis may not be that observable, but yes, for strong acid and strong alkali, definitely there is a reaction. For example, nitric acid mixing with sodium hydroxide, it will have violent reaction. Concentrated acids and water. For example, high concentrated sulfuric acid, you put water, it will react. So that is how it is. Organic solvents and corrosives, like phenol and corrosive substances. Again, phenol is a corrosive substance. So in industry, chemicals are handled as on how the cycle takes place. First is purchasing and receiving, then storage, distribution and application, collection and environmental health, safety, and treatment, disposal. This is a cycle. So this is a chemical life cycle. Here today we are uh, basically seeing the storage and handling. So on that left side you can see it is a hydrocarbon, that is oil and gas, catalyst, specialty chemicals, that is the additive and markers, inorganic chemicals, and radioactive. Radioactive anyway we are not going to see. And the catalyst, it can be solid or liquid also. Then where they are stored, it can be storage tank, bulk storage rather, and in drums, that is 200 liters or smaller ones, and carboys, tank trucks, wagons, and ships and barges. So these are the ways chemicals are handled in different containers. So now, what are the principal parameters of storage safety? That is chemical products, storage, and staff responsibility. So under the chemical products, handling, using, and disposal, these three are coming into that bracket. Storage, where it is placed, and what is the condition of the material. These two are coming in the picture. And staff responsible, those who are actually handling, operating, or maintaining, they must be trained and they must have the experience so that there is no unsafe activity. So, as I already mentioned, improper storage of mixing of chemicals can result in serious accidents and disasters sometimes. So violent reactions could occur due to the strong or mixing incompatible chemicals, which we have seen earlier. So how to handle these things? Inventory control. That is, you don't try to take a very bulk one. Whatever is required, you keep it, and that you keep monitoring. That is what it is. Then labeling. So this is very important aspect because if you don't label, you won't know what chemical is inside. So many accidents have happened because of wrong labeling or there is no label. So it's an important aspect, whether it is a, a refinery or any other place or even laboratories, they have to strictly follow that. In hospitals also, sometimes accidents happen and the casualties also happen. Because I can quote one instance where phenol was injected into some patient's body and the person died. So that is why, because it was due to a wrong labeling. So this is very important actually. And safe work practices and secondary containment, spill response. That is, tank is there and there has to be a dike. So even if there is spill also, spill happens, it will be contained within the dike, so it can be safely taken. If it comes out of the dike, then it becomes uncontrollable. And storage of compatible chemical. This is another thing. Whichever is compatible, they should be stored nearby. Incompatible ones should be stored far away. There are clear-cut regulations and guidelines on all these things. And special controls highly for highly hazardous material. This is again classified and very clear directives are there. If someone violates, then there is a problem. So the OISD standard 114 deals with the hazardous chemicals used in petroleum, natural gas, we have seen, production, processing, storage, and transportation of facilities, petrochemicals. This is uh, refineries or terminals and all those things, petrochemical industries. Then lubricating oil, uh, this one, manufacturing units. Then markers for checking the adulteration in products. That is kerosene marker put for kerosene for distribution to ration shops. That is blue. So that it will be clear that this particular color, this one is only a kerosene and it should not be adulterated. That's if it is adulterated, immediately people will know. That is the whole thing. Next is standard uh, dose not include this one. This particular standard does not include, which I had already mentioned, hazardous chemicals, that is chemical dust, laboratory chemicals, and radioactive material. There are separate standards for all these things. And hazardous waste generated during the process of manufacture. These are the things which are not included in this standard OISD standard 114. So we will not be discussing these things. And what is the scope for this particular topic? To bring awareness to facilitate safe storage and handling of hazardous chemicals, avoiding accidents and occupational diseases. So, so now we will move on to next one. What is flammable chemicals, which we have already seen? Flammable gases, the gases which at 20 degree and the standard pressure at 101.3 kp kilopascals ignite when a mixture of 13% or less volume of air is available. Second is have flammable range with air at least 12% points, regardless of lower flammable limits. These are the conditions under which this is defined. That is flammable gas. Under the flammable gas also categories are there. It is extremely flammable liquids. That is the flash point is equal to or less than 23 degrees and boiling point less than 35 degrees and very highly flammable liquids. Flash point less than or equal to 23 degrees or boiling point is more than greater than 35 degrees. Like that. So it is classified into extremely flammable, very highly flammable, and flammable liquids. The definitions are given on the right side. Then another important thing to know is the lower explosive limit, upper explosive limit, because while handling, person should know these things so that he can be aware. He should not handle unnecessary this one, land into problem. So what is lower explosive limit? The minimum concentration of vapor required to propagate or ignite flame. Upper explosive limit, maximum vapor to air concentration above which propagation of flame will not light. And still is short-term exposure limit, very short-term, so that it is allowable. The acceptable over average exposure over a short period of time, usually 15 minutes, as long as the time weighted average is not exceeded. TLV is the maximum permissible concentration of a toxic substance to which exposure of a person will have no adverse effect on health for working 8 hours per day. So this must be known to the operating people definitely. Oh, there are definitions given in the OISD 114, standard 114. Synonyms. This is a common chemical like acetic acid versus vinegar and caustic versus alkali, like that. So normal names. And CS number is the Chemical Abstract Service Registry number. This is given by OSHA, American Chemical Society's chemical abstract. This has given the number. And UN number, United Nations also has given numbers for particular chemicals. The four-figure code used to identify hazardous chemicals and used for identification of chemicals transported internally by road, rail, or air. This is followed here also. And hazardous waste identification number. This means the categories of waste specified in the schedule and hazardous waste MSTM rules 2008. So wherever or whenever these materials or chemicals are handled, if this number is there, that means uh, one has to take the active actions accordingly as per the definitions, as per the guidelines. Now, these chemicals can be explosive or corrosive or oxidizer or pyrophoric substance or toxic. It can be anything. So explosive means a solid or liquid or pyrotechnic substance or article, which in itself capable of chemical reaction, providing gas at such temperature and pressure at such speed as to cause damage to surroundings. It is a very violent reaction. Many of you sometimes made a witnessed certain things. The crackers used in during Diwali and some other occasions. It is one of the. It is on a very milder scale, but this will be on a major scale. Then corrosive chemicals, which will cause damage to living tissue, chemically attack metallic containers and structures. For example, if hydrochloric acid falls on the hand, it immediately burns. It reacts with the skin. So that is what it is. Then oxidates, which readily give oxygen or other oxidizing agent like bromine, chlorine, etc. We also include materials that react chemically to oxidize combustible materials and severe fire and explosion. For example, potassium permanganate, potassium nitrate. These are all very uh, oxidizing agents. And pyrophoric substances like this is commonly available or existing in refineries where high sulfur is handled. So it is basically it is iron sulfide but in a very purest form. When it comes into contact with the air, it starts uh, reacting and starts smoking. Then finally, it increases the heat, and finally it starts uh, catching fire. That is how it is. And the auto ignition temperature, there are some substances which, uh, when it is exposed to air, even it suddenly catches fire. There are many material available. So this is also one of the thing. But the auto ignition temperature can be below the room temperature also. This is also important. Next is toxic chemicals. The toxicity is a degree to which a substance is able to damage or expose organism. So it can be extremely toxic or highly toxic or toxic. There are three categories given, and it can be, suppose if a toxic chemical goes orally, can be less than 5, or dermital is a skin less than 40, and the inhalation toxicity is less than 0.05. Like that, the classifications are given the standard itself. Now, what are the ways in which uh, the handling happens, and how it can impact? This particular diagram shows that the center one is the transfer. It can be either going to storage tank, or it can be to third party or tanks, unloading, and under the unloading ships. It can be unloading or loading ships, drums, ISO container, barges, or rail car trucks. There are different ways transfer takes place. And in the case of storage tank, for it can release some gases via that operational during the operation, tank filling, emptying, draining or cleaning, purging, blanketing, manual gauging, sampling, uh, open or semi-closed, breathing, or standing, fugitive, overfill, or leakage. In all cases, gases can be released. So it can be flammable, or it can be toxic also, and it can be reactive. Similarly, storage tanks, it can be draining or cleaning or sampling or overfill leakage. So under these things, it can create cause a liquid spill, and it can go to uh, open a storm system or anywhere. So it can further create problems, or it can be directed to wastewater treatment unit also, or it can directly go to soil, which will cause environmental issues like that. Or if it mixes with the water, it can be contaminating, and people can, human beings or other living beings can get affected. That is how it is. So there are uh, uh, during the transfer, the operation systems filling, draining, cleaning, pigging, purging, sampling, and opening, connecting and opening fugitive emissions or leakage. There are so many things that can happen. Finally, it will lead to leakage, and leakage can lead to the thing which is given there. It can be releasing to air, vapor return systems, or vapor treatment system, or anywhere. So if it goes to air, then there is a problem. But it's going to the same recycle system, it can be, gas can be recovered, and there is no issue on that. Now, if you see in the table that hazard class of chemical, it is classified into, uh, first is poisonous or toxic compounds, water reactive chemicals, carcinogens, uh, uh, terra, teratogens, then peroxide forming chemicals, and strong reducing agents. These are the five classifications under which under the poisonous or toxic compounds. What is the recommended storage method? Storage separately in a vented or cool dry area in unbreakable, chemically resistant secondary containers and in accordance with the hazardous nature of the chemical. The examples are aniline, carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, cyanides, all these things. So, like that, these classifications are given under each category. The water reactive chemicals, carcinogens, teratogens, and peroxide forming, and strong reducing agents. So, for each thing, it is already classified how to store and what are the examples and incompatibles. This particular table shows how it is to be designed and maintained, and what is the fire protection, and what is the precaution to be taken for electrical safety, and how to have that safety equipment. This speaks about that. So, under the design, location and design of chemical storage drums, cabinets approved by physical plant and safety office, and under the fire protection, fire extinguisher adjacent to room, chemical storage rooms, electronically monitored by security for heat and fire. This may or may not be present in all the locations. Yes, some locations they have where it is very, very critical. Then staff responsible must be familiar with the location and proper use of all safety equipment. Like that, under design, again it goes doors locked when the room is unoccupied because the unauthorized entry should take place and the people can misuse or unknowingly they can create problems. And access limited to authorized persons. Warning signs should be clearly labeled. This room contains what, and unauthorized entry is not allowed. Like that. There has to be clear cut on this one. And ventilation should be there. Temperature control must be adequate. Illumination must be sufficient. Working space should be sufficient because inside forklift may have to go. So to operate, to remove material, to in, uh, keep the material, enough space must be available to move around. So all these things are there. There are clear-cut standards available. What should be the distance for walkway and all those things. Floor in good condition and area maintained free of unnecessary refuse. That is also important. Housekeeping. And unwanted material should not be lying on the floor. Similarly, under the fire protection, fire extinguisher uh, must be in the adjacent room, must be inspected, exit doors unobstructed, fire lane, building entrance unobstructed. This is all very important because exit and entry uh, doors must be free. People should not keep material because in case of emergency, this can be a real problem and the people can fall or they cannot come out easily. So that's why exit and entry, irrespective of anything, it should be clear and no smoking sign and a fire blanket because this is in case something happens, fire blanket should be used like that. And electrical safety as per the standard, it is given. And similarly, safety equipment. Staff must be familiar with or trained how to use the safety equipment. This is also important because no point in keeping safety equipment if a person does not know. Because in emergency, it will be of no use. So both have to be there. So if you see the proper storage of flammable chemicals, the storage area must meet regulatory requirements, replace all bunk caps on the drum vents. The drums will have two caps. One is for loading, unloading, another one is for venting. Normally it is like that after receiving containers. And ground all drums properly and storage quantities in approved storage rooms and cabinets. Storage only in small quantity. Here again, the drum, how to keep the drum, place the drum. Uh, it is given by the manufacturer whether it be kept horizontally or vertically. This is and where it is where there is drums are stored in the open area. If there is any heavy rain, if it is stored vertically, there is a chance of water entering the drum. So all these considerations are there. So people have to be cautious about these aspects and restrict entrance to the chemical storage area for authorized persons and allow the doors not in use. Train the authorized person with respect to safety. All these things we have seen earlier. This particular thing deals with personal protection, material handling, material labeling, material storage, and material cleanup and disposal. And these are the things which is, the guidelines are given. Personal protective equipment, under the personal protection, PPEs, and again eye protection goggles, safety goggles. Anyway, the PPEs generally involves helmet, goggles, hand gloves, shoes at a minimum. So other special chemical rubber, those things are as, as and when the chemical, the severity of chemical used or as per the guideline, it has to be used. And the apron also, that is all there, or apron or overall, wherever it is. So eye protection, hand protection, body protection, foot protection, appropriate respiratory protection. If it is a gas mask or wherever it is required. Really under material handling, inventory to must be up to date. And here again, the inventory, suppose if today you have received the material and the expiry date is say 2 years, and next lot when it comes, the first lot has to be completed. Yes. So that otherwise the expiry it will become expired and it will be difficult to dispose of. So that control monitoring is one. Inventory monitoring is very important. It is as per the warehouse people's purview. There are a lot of methods it can be controlled that way. Then MSDs is detailed safety data sheet must be available for all hazardous chemicals and must be displayed so that any time they can see what is the problem or what are the instructions for all guidelines for all those things. And staff responsible for area must be trained. You have seen protective equipment known, materials transported from storage, secured and handled safely. This is another thing. Suppose the material can be either in drums, carboys, or cylinders, especially cylinders, because cylinders can roll. So they have to be tied or placed properly so that even if some jerk comes, it does not come out. So this is what it means. Then material labeling, already I told earlier, all containers labeled with the supplier or other label. Contents of unlabeled containers verified and proper label applied. All containers display receiving date, stale date, and when uh, where required. That is the expiry date. So if it is expired, then it should not be used. It should be kept aside and they safely disposed of. This is another important. That's why the inventory control comes in the picture. In material storage, all cylinders are properly restrained by chain or strap. A number of things are given, and what are the potential hazards to this? No tripping hazard, no falling objects, no structural defects, no sharp objects, no evidence of spillage or leakage, because these things can cause uh, accidents. And material cleanup and disposal, in case some spill happen, then what? Commercial spill cleanup kit available, staff responsible, aware of the procedures, chemical, because if the spill has happened, you must know whether it is corrosive, which corrosive or non-corrosive. If it is corrosive, then how to handle it. It can be acid or alkali or whatever it is. So, lot many things are there in that. So they must have the proper training, and they should follow the standard procedures to deal with this. Then cleanup material disposed of as hazardous waste, because okay, after collecting, he should not just throw it outside. Properly, it has to be disposed. That is also part of that. That's what it means. And outdated and potentially unstable chemicals removed and disposed of. Then unusual conditions in chemical storage areas. There are all most of us would have seen. This is not correct. This is not safe. That is what it means. Improper storage of chemicals, leaking or deteriorating containers, spilled gas chemicals, lack of low lighting levels. If the illumination in the area is not good, that also sometimes it may cause problem. That's what it means. Blocked exits and exits, doors blocked open, lack of security, trash accumulation, open lights or matches, fire equipment blocked, broken or missing, lack of information or warning signs. That is, flammable liquids or acids or corrosives or poison. It may be clearly mentioned. Otherwise, people can do mistakes and learning problems. Temperature extremes. It should not be too hot or it should not be too cold. Storage, wherever it is, whatever it is designed, as per that it should be. And the next is the National Fire Protection Association is a body which has given out uh, this particular diamond, the safety. It is called NFPA diamond 704. Yeah, this gives this is in four colors, four different colors. It consists of a diamond divided into four parts. That particular diagram. These parts represent different information as shown with their color code. You can see this, and these are rated on a scale of 0 to 4. That means there will be 5. One is red is flammable, stored in area, uh, segregated for flammable reagents, or blue is health hazard. On the left side also it is given more descriptively. You can see it is rated 0 to 4. The next few slides we will see more in detail on all those things. Then yellow, reactive, oxidizing and oxidizing agent. Many react violently with air, water, and other substances. Store away from flammable and combustible materials. White is corrosive, may harm skin, eyes, or mucous membranes. Store away from red coated or yellow coated or blue coated reagents. And gray is presents no more than moderate hazard, so that not much of a concern. If you see on the left side, on the health under the health hazard, rate number 14, 4 is deadly, extreme danger, hazardous, slightly hazardous, and normal. And under the fire, it is here the flash point is given. That is below 73 degree Fahrenheit. Whatever material is there, it can be flammable. Below 100 degrees, below 200, and above 200, and zero is not this one. It is not much of a concern. And next is yellow. Instability may detonate. uh, The number four is detonate. Third is shock plus heat may detonate. Then a violent chemical chain. Then unstable if heated. And zero is stable. And the specific hazard, oxidizer, OX. That the next slides we'll see. Acid means acid will be written. It's a white diamond actually. Alkaline and corrosive use no water and reactive, radioactive. So now we'll see the health, how uh, chemicals are getting into our body, either through inhalation or ingestion or absorption or injection. In these four ways, uh, unwanted chemicals enter the body. Then what they can cause? Eye discomfort, breathing facility, difficulty, dizziness or headache, nausea, vomiting, and skin irritation. These are the ways it can affect the body. So, under the health, the rating 4. What is the hazard? A few whiffs of gas could cause death. That means it's highly poisonous. Could be fatal on a penetrating normal protective coating. And what is the PPE should be used? Special full protective clothing with scaba. An additional no skin surface should be exposed. So extreme care should be taken when someone handles this sort of chemical. And under rating 3, material extremely hazardous to health, but areas may be entered with extreme care. Some slightly it is less, severity less. Under the protective clothing, same like this one. Above, full protective clothing, scarber, rubber gloves, and boots. And the nose skin surface should be exposed. That means it will be totally covered. Rating number 2, materials hazardous to health, but areas may be entered freely with SCABA. The SCABA is nothing but air cylinder. So it will supply oxygen, the air, from the cylinder itself. So outside air cannot enter the body. It is that arrangement, and it has got people worked in the chemical plants. They would have seen that, or in the fire drills also they show. So there is a meter, and you can adjust the pressure also, and it can work. You can use for maybe 20 to 25 minutes, not more than that. And when it comes to 15 minutes, it gives the alarm to the person who is using, and immediately he has to be cautious and he should come out. Because here the problem is he is entered an area which is dangerous. So he must have the time to come out also. That is where the alarm helps him. Otherwise, he will keep working, and when and before he comes, he can land in problem. That is why he has to be cautious on that. So going in and coming together, it is about 25 minutes. And rating 1 is marginal only, and slightly has a scabbard can use. And rating 0 is no much of a concern. And next is flammability. Under rating 4, very flammable gases, very volatile, flammable liquids, materials that in the form of dust or mist readily form explosive mixture. So they come in this particular category. The safety measure should be shut off flow of gas and liquid and keep cooling water streams on exposed tanks. This is one way of handling. An additional is use water spray carefully in the vicinity of dust so it does not spread. And the rating 3, slightly less severe, liquids which can get ignited under almost all normal temperature conditions and solids burn rapidly. Water can be water can be ineffective on these liquids due to their low flash point. Any material that ignites at normal temperature. These are the additional things to be taken care. And rating 2 is liquid. The liquid switch must be moderately heated before ignition will occur. So it takes time. Water may be used, but here though the guidelines are given, but ultimately it has to go with the chemical manufacturer's guidelines or instructions. That is very important. And you have to go with the MSDS. So rating 1 is material that must be preheated before ignition can occur. Now under reactivity, uh, materials and under rating 4, materials which in themselves are readily capable of detonation or explosive reactions at normal temperature and pressure. Is the explosion definition we had seen. The same thing is given here, and it includes materials which are sensitive to mechanical or localized thermal shock, or material. And for firefighting, if material got massive fire, area should be evacuated. Same thing given for rating 3, 2, 1, and 0. So this is about the reactivity. So now we are coming to special hazard. This is the white diamond shown here. It is used to identify there are certain things, unusual activity with water. So W is the water. So the cross is given to that means do not use water for this particular chemical. Okay. One example I can give you. Many years before, I think it was 1984, the Bhopal incident was like this only. They were using the methyl isocyanate, which is hydrophobic. Water should not be used. Unfortunately, that particular day, more water entered into the system and it caused major disaster. Uh, uh, Many hundreds of people died in that accident. So this can be that type of problem. Then radiation hazard, the symbol is most of you must have seen. Uh, Oxidizing chemicals OX. If the tank truck, whichever is carrying the chemical or a drum, if it is showing OX means is having the oxidizing chemical, has to be really cautious on this. And simple asphyxiant gases, they are nitrogen, helium, neon, argon, krypton, and xenon. So they are notified as SA. If SA symbol is there, that means they have these gases. So next time, whenever you see such symbols, you be aware of this. Okay. There's a hazardous chemical code. And most of you must have seen the tankers move on the road. You must have seen NFPA diamond along with this 3YE like that is given 3YE, 2PE, 2WE. So what is the significance? That is what it shows. So the code provided with vital information to fire brigade and emergency services on action, because by seeing that they can know what type of chemical this uh, tanker is carrying or the drum is having. That is what it is, and based on that they can take the action. That is what it is. This is this code provided by vital information to fire brigade and the chemical emergency services on action to be taken to combat spillage, leakage, or fire emergency. So it is basically for fire fighting people. It is numbered from 1 to 4. Any one of the letters P, R, S, T, W, X, Y, Z, anyone can be there in that, and followed by letter E. It can be uh, or it may not be. If it is E is as this one shows, it is for the evacuation. So number one shows numbers is, significantly ex, signify extinguishing medium to be employed. That is given as given below. Number one is jets. Second is fog. Use fine spray if fog is equipment is not available. Okay. And foam and dry agent. Dry agent is no contact with what the substances at risk. And the letters signify number under jets. It is a method of controlling spillage by diluting or containing. This is the method they have to adopt. Under fog, PPs must be known by the firefighters. Foam, reactive nature of chemicals. So like that. The next stage, next slide will be more clear on this. You see the table, uh, PRSSTT, like that is given. Again, it is V is all given. And again, it is a full or dilute. The significance of this can be seen on the right side. V means can be violent or even explosively active. It means that. So the chemical has, it can be that. So BA's breathing apparatus has to be used for such cases. Then full is full body protective clothing must be used for this particular thing. Then BA anyway breathing apparatus plus protective gloves. Then dilute is maybe washed to drain with large quantities of water that will help. And contain under that category, it can prevent, one can prevent further damage by any means available because sometimes these things may not be available, so they have to use the other means. That is what it means. The spillage from entering drains or water because once it material enters a drain, it can go anywhere. Then there won't be any control. That's why this is given actually. And E is consider evacuation. If E is given, that means people should vacate the place except the people who are actually fighting. On the left side, you can see some of the examples given. For petrol, it is 3YE, methyl alcohol 2PE, LPG 2WG, like that. It is already given. What W means what, V means what is all given there. That it is easy to understand. So these hazardous chemicals are classified into 8 classes. Is the class one is the class one explosives are coming. Class two gases, compressed liquefied, dissolved, or deeply refrigerated inflammable gases or poison gases. They are coming under the class 2. Class 3 is inflammable liquids. Then class 4, again, it is divided into 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Inflammable solids, next is the substances liable to spontaneous combustion. And next is the substances which emit inflammable gases with water content. These are the categories under which class 4 is coming. Under class 5, division, uh, this is divided into two. division 5.1, oxidizing substances. Then next is organic peroxides. And under class 6, it is divided into two, 6.1, 6.2. 6.1 is poisonous or toxic substances. 6.2 is infectious substances. Infectious means it is a health hazard, obviously, affects the body directly. Then class 7 is radioactive substances. Class 8 is corrosive. So these are the different classes under which it is, chemicals are classified. So this is a pictogram. All of you, most of you must have seen in on the tankers. It is displayed whichever chemical it carries. This, if this is the symbol, this is for that. So first one is a health hazard, carcinogen, and this along with the NFPA diamond, you can see most of the chemical tankers. Multi, this one, first one is health hazard. Then second is for flame. Third is exclamation mark. That is, it can cause irritation and all those things. So that's why the exclamation mark is given there. Then a gas cylinder, if it is carrying gas cylinder, this symbol will be there. Then corrosive, skin corrosion or burns. So one has to be careful on it. It can be acid, alkali, or anything, phenol, whatever it is, corrosive chemicals. Then exploding bomb, explosives, self reactives, or organic peroxides. Then flame over second, ox results, environment not mandatory. Aquatic toxicity, it can create waterborne contamination. And skull and crossbones is acute toxicity. So one has to be very careful with these things. So these are the symbols, pictograms available, and these are displayed also. Not only on the tankers, in the chemical plants also, they are displayed so that people will be more cautious before entering the area, especially where the chemicals are stored. As I said earlier, whichever the type of chemical stored, these symbols can be there. Then one has to be very careful. They should understand before entering the area. Now, what are the general guidelines for safe storage? It can be bulk or drums or carboys, whatever it is. So here, this particular one is about storage in bulk. So find suitable less hazardous alternate chemicals. Replace the chemical to the extent possible. If it is the chemical is not required or it can be replaced, such possibilities that the severity level can be reduced. That is the whole purpose. Not that you cannot, you should not use the chemical, but you should find a suitable base. That's what it means. Keep minimum inventory. Declare the storage area as prohibited. So you have to barricade the area, and there has to be two exits so that one can go on emergency. This one. Then storage tank and foundation should be of uh, suitable MOC. For example, as it is stored, the flooring has to be acid-proof tile. Otherwise, what will happen? Acid can eat away the foundation, and it will acid can enter the ground. So that is not acceptable. That's what it means. And minimize the connections and openings to the tank. That is to restrict or reduce the leakage possibilities. Generally, it is for any, is as per the design, minimum number of flanges. Rather. Provide the tanks with the vents and relief system with adequate capacity and the discharging to safe height. It can be gooseneck or it can be breather type, whatever it is, should be of adequate size. In case any pressure buildup is there, should be able to take care of the problem. Otherwise, it can burst. That is what it is. And it should be released to safe heights so that it gets diluted. So the impact is negligible. For example, in the refinery, those who worked in the sulfur plant may know this sulfur stack is maybe 200 feet, 300 feet high. So when it releases by chance sulfur dioxide, by the time it goes, it gets diluted to a large extent. So the impact is very, very less or within the uh, pollution control norms. So that is how it is. Provide flame arresters for the vents of atmospheric storage tanks because normally nowadays they put the flame arresters so that flame does not travel or flame does not come from inside to outside. That is also there. So this is especially for the class A chemical. Then monitor storage tank with the necessary instrumentation. This is very important. If you don't know the instrument the level or pressure or temperature, you can anything can happen. So that is why instrumentation is very important. Not only that, wherever possible, it should be connected to the control room so that the control room is monitored on 24-hour basis. So action can be taken. Otherwise, people may not know also, even if there is instrumentation. This is all to be considered. Then provide detectors and alarms. This is near wherever the such gases or chemicals are handled, where it can release poisonous gas or toxic gas or flammable gas. Detectors should be available, and again with alarms, and they have to be again connected to the control room so that quick actions can be taken. And we are continuing with the storage in bulk. Provide fire access to roads to storage area. In case some fire happens, the fire truck should be able to come inside. That is what it is. And provide adequate communication facility. The PA system or telephone should be nearby so that we can contact. Because this is all required in the remote areas. In the inside the plant area may not be that obvious. The remote areas, this is all very important. Because of course nowadays people carry walkie-talkies. Irrespective of that, this is all required. Display the name of the chemical type of hazard. All these things, as per MSDS, should be displayed. This is we are already seen. And another thing, what is given antidote. In case somebody has taken inside, then what should be the antidote? That should also be available. So that is all part of the training. And electrical safety prevents sparks, install proper cabling and electrical fitting and all those things. And dike, already I mentioned earlier, construct with the suitable MOC and volume equal to the volume of the largest storage tank. Here, it may not be equal volume, it may be 1.1 times of the largest volume. So that even if something happens also, it will be within the dike. That is what it is. Then isolation valves and dikes drain should be located outside so that they can, even if there is spillage, they can operate safely. Drain of rainwater into stormwater canal, route high volume spillage or leakage to suitable neutralizing pit nearby. This is designed normally neutralizing pit is given nearby so that even if some spillage happens, it will go to neutralizing pit only. So depending on the severity or type of the chemical used, then discharge the safe effluent to oily water system as applicable. The refineries, yes, oil water system is available. In the terminals, it may not be, may or may not be. So depending on the site, then volume should be equal to the capacity salaries. It can be equal or slightly 1.1 times. And storage in a container. Here we are talking about drums or carboys and everything. Each drum of cluster of drum can be a source of leak because drums are susceptible for leak because they are very thin sheet material. So even slight puncturing can cause the leak. So they have to be handled very carefully. And drums normally being less resistant to fire would collapse faster, escalating, spreading of fire to the other drums. So this is another thing. And never fill the drum full of the liquid because there has to be some space, vapor space. Even if there is pressurization also, it can take care. Otherwise, it will burst violently. That's what is sufficient leach for thermal expansion. Then storage the drums in a well-ventilated shed with impermeable floor sloping away from the drums. Even if there is a leak, spillage happens, it will go to drainage point freely. That is the whole thing about that. Then keep provision to collect accidental spills for a safe disposal. These are all as per the design where it is stored. There is a design criteria they have to construct or install as per that. And stacked drums in a single tire at the correct lid position. Lid has to be on the top, uh, obviously. It should not be bottom. If it is on the bottom, it can leak. That is the thing. Follow manufacturer's instruction for storage. Again, I said about keeping it horizontal, vertical, and all those things. The manufacturer gives the instruction. Empty the drum contents, decontaminate, label, and keep in a safe place. So if the drum is emptied out, you cannot just throw in the drums because it will go to open market, and if it by chance it contains uh, hazardous chemical, little bit that can cause problem outside. So that is why the this one is the method is to decontaminate the drum and label it. Okay, this drum is decontaminated. Then only you keep it in a safe place and dispose it of. This is important. Accidents happen because of not following these practices. Then periodic site inspection to identify leakages from the drums. Storage of combustible solid materials. Keep the dust content of the air below the lower explosive limit. This is for the solid material handling. Ensure efficient dust collection. Here, this standard does not specifically talks about the dust, chemical dust. So let us not go into that. But one thing I can tell, the plant areas wherever the chemicals are used, afterwards they have to keep this one, decontaminate them and label them and keep them in a safe place. This is what I said. But sometimes what happens after usage, before decontamination, the drums lie uh, just like that. People don't take care because they are busy with the plant operation activities. So that time what happens, it can create problem. So one particular example I can tell, the place where I was working earlier, we were using chemical. So people used to many this one, 50 or 60 drums used to be used on daily basis, and many drums used to be full and some are empty and all. Empty drums also used to lie, and during the transfer, there used to be a chemical spill on the drum top itself. So the liquid used to be on the drum. There won't to no one would do anything. But after a few days, we found the pigeons were found dead on the drums or nearby. Then we realized that pigeons had come to drink water and they thought this particular uh, uh, liquid was water and they drank. And it was not suitable to them and they all died. This is the extent of thing which can happen. So knowingly or unknowingly, we may cause a problem to human beings as well as others. So one has to be really cautious about it. Then we took a strong action and to decontaminate and all those things. Okay. So I'm just telling you, wherever you people are working, you have to be cautious about these things. So on the left side, if you see the labeling on the cylinders, okay. Now next is we are going to cylinders. The cylinder handling is another important aspect because slightly different from handling drums because these cylinders they have their own uh, specific requirements. Protect the cylinders from variation in temperatures and other potential source of heat. Source in stored in cool, dry, or well ventilated covered place. Then there is from steam pipes or furnace or boilers, and avoid any hot object striking the cylinders because the cylinders are very heavy. This one, very heavy. If they strike with each other, spark can be possible. So spark can generate that can cause fire. That is why this point has come. Do not keep them near the gangways or elevators. Because while rolling also, they may strike with the other cylinders. Separately keep cylinders containing flammable gases and toxic gases. Then maintain adequate distance with the partitioning wall so that this problem does not arise. And avoid knocking or dropping or rolling of cylinders because many times you might have seen people just roll cylinders without realizing what can happen. You should, if you find, you should stop them, uh, handle them carefully. Protect the cylinder nozzles against damage because cylinder nozzle is the weakest point in the cylinder. It has got a threaded portion, so they have to be protected. So do not use oil or a similar lubricant on valves and other fittings of cylinders containing gas because they may uh, that gas can react with oil and catch fire. Especially this action will be remembered for oxygen, especially because oxygen violently reacts. Then stack liquefied gas cylinders like nitrogen vertical so that the vaporization rate is less. And if it is kept horizontal, sunlight, if it is open on the kept on the open ground, it can pressurize quickly. In case of a defective regulator, only gas would escape. In this, if it is kept vertical, otherwise, liquid also can come out. Yeah, provide the cylinder walls with security cap on the outlet because this is additional protection given. So that whenever it is transported, security cap must be there for protection. Then ensure proper labeling on the cylinders as usual. So the left side is given what are the things given in the on the cylinders, name of the chemical, state of chemical as to gas or liquid, pressure of contents, date of filling, manufacturer's name, specification, date of loss hydro test, because this is very important. The cylinder should be able to hold the pressure. That's why hydro test is important. Expiry date after before the expiry date, it should be checked. And certified gas cylinders only must be used. Then working pressure and test pressure, tire weight, water capacity, and identification, color of chemical. All these things are there. So chemical cylinders is continued. The due date of test for a cylinder should be marked. This we have seen. The cylinder storage area should be made of non-combustible material, flame-proof fittings for inflammable gases, Then floor level at storage area should be sufficiently above ground level to prevent water logging or corrosion. Flooring of the storage area should not be wet or muddy. Filled and empty cylinder should be tagged and kept separately. Otherwise, you won't know which is used, which is not used, which is partly used, all these things. So the segregation should be perfect on that. And if cylinders are kept vertical, they should be chained so that they don't fall down. The storage area should be fenced and marked as a prohibited area with no smoking. Periodic inspection of cylinders. Provide automatic gas detectors with alarm and hooter. And keep emergency kit, special PPE, clothing, safety shower in close vicinity. Because if something happens, safety shower should be there. So they can take bath or we can uh, clean his eyes. That is the whole thing. Otherwise, he'll be unnecessarily wasting time. It will be very precious. Adequate and suitable fire extinguishers must be available at the site. This is all as per the standard. Then ensure proper color coding of chemical cylinders. So color coding on the left side, I had given the table. So this is for Indian standard, highest standard. So this should be followed. So if you see next time any cylinder, you see whether this the cylinder is conforming to this color code standards. They are supposed to be using this. The hospitals also, most of you must have seen wherever they are using oxygen cylinders and all those things. The same color coding is there. There is a rule for the gas cylinder rules 1981. Based on that, this standard has come. Then avoid manual handling. Uh, Unload the cylinder with a forklift or hoist, etc. Direct heating with steam or flame is prohibited. And if at all you want a gas, you use vaporizer to get increased flow of gas, but don't never use steam or flame. Obvious it is. Use NRV to prevent backflow of process fluid into the partially fully empty cylinder. Because if then the cylinder pressure when it comes down, the material from the other side can back into the cylinder. That should be avoided. That's why NRV is required. And provide PG and flow measuring device for monitoring, especially those who have handled the chlorine will know there will be pressure gauge and flow measuring that a rotometer will be there and all those things, or any other device for measuring the flow. Then store the empty cylinders at designated locations. Ensure the cylinders are leak tight and do not drop or bump against any hard object, which we have seen. Now, the unloading of tank trucks or tank wagons, because chemicals are transported in bulk also through tank trucks and they are going through open roads. So here, inside the plant or inside the company premises, you can take many safety precautions and other things. When it goes on the road, the safety uh, this one aspect is much more because the public may not know and it is an open area, no, and no one knows how to handle. So so that is the problem. So one has to be very careful. A lot of restrictions have come on this to inspect the tanker before entry into the industry premises. So the tanker can take the material from the factory to outside for distribution, or it may bring chemical from outside into the refinery premises. Both ways it is possible. That is what it means. Inspect the tanker before entry into the tank premises. So authorized entry and safe sound condition. Its contents on the framework. They will check the invoice. All these details would be given, and normally MSDS also comes along with that. The security is supposed to check whether it contains uh, this invoice. Then they will verify with the tanker also. So there's a clear-cut procedure for all these things. Before entry, ensure the tankers are fitted with flame arresters on their exhaust because uh, sparks can come out from the exhaust. That is why the flame arrestor is required. Ascertain the quality of the chemical in the tanker before loading. Especially for the flame arrestor, you may not find in the chemical some of the chemical plants where this flammability problem is not existing. Whereas in refinery area or petrochemical area, we are supposed to be definitely following flame arrestor. Then ascertain the quality of the chemical in the tanker before unloading. This is another thing because invoice may show some chemical and inside the tanker may have some other chemical. This if there is a difference and wherever it is unloading, it can create real havoc. So the tanker also must have the same codes and everything which we have talked about earlier. So all these things have to be together. So the security is supposed to ascertain the quality, avoids the contamination of chemicals already at storage. In case of flammable chemicals, put up the prime mover. Prime mover is engine. Properly block it from movement before connections are made for unloading. Then in case of flammable chemicals, the unloading point should be located at a safe distance outside the storage dike. So if you go to any terminal, this gantry areas are far away from the storage tanks. The material is coming from the storage tank through pipeline and then it is getting unloaded. So it is preventing the accident issues. So for details, you can refer the OISD standard 118 for all these things, how to maintain. Then avoid pressurizing with air or inert gas for unloading. This is another thing. Uh, People sometimes use air by putting pressure, liquid comes out, or by using nitrogen. This is again not allowed because the tanker may or may not hold that much pressure. Then it can burst. So a lot of issues are there on that. So use the pumps or vacuum systems for unloading. Then the solid chemicals in bulk should be handled with machines and conveyors, and ensure usage of leak-proof couplings. That is where the couplings are made, the hose and everything should be leak-proof. Otherwise, through that joint only chemical can start leaking. The flange connections are preferred because that gives the tight fit. So wherever possible, we should go for the flange connections. Where threaded connections are used, the threaded portion should be properly preserved against corrosion. Otherwise, if that gets corroded, then leak is quite possible. So the unloading hose should be devoid of cracks. This is another thing. So the hose should be monitored and tested periodically so that you ensure a good standard hose for all these things. The hose should be able to withstand the temperature and pressure also on that. Then same hose should not be used for unloading different chemicals. This is another thing because as we have talked about earlier, the chemicals may not be compatible. Then there is a big problem. So designated hoses should be used for that purpose only. Then for flammable chemicals, the tanker and the hoses are to be properly etched. This is to avoid the static electricity and spark problems. And unloading should be done under personal supervision of responsible staff. Obviously, operating people should be there while it is unloading, because even if something happens, they can take the corrective action immediately. Otherwise, things may go out of hand. Then operating staff must use suitable PPE, suitable breathing canisters, and all those things as specified. So there is no issue on that. Then ensure adequate illumination with the flame-proof fittings. Lighting should be good because the operation is 24 hours basis. So night time also, uh, this may happen. So lighting should be good in that area, and to identify any untoward incident is happening and take actions accordingly. Ensure that the unloading systems have facility to vent or drain the remaining chemical in the hose to a suitable safe point. This is already designed. So, uh, as per the design, should have that facility, then there is no problem. If there is no draining facility, then there is an issue. Normally, they are designed. Blind the hose when not in use. Not wrongly written. Hot, it is not in use. Provide a thermal safety valve discharging to safe disposal or handling facility. It is a pressure relief system. For starting unloading, check the ullage of the receiving tank, because you should know how much the tanker has brought, what is the material inside the tank, and how much material further, whether it can take from the tank. This is very important. Otherwise, if it is not checked, it can overflow the tank. Tank overflow can be possible. So that's why this is required. And that is one point. Second point is accountability also. How much material the tanker actually has brought in. From this also helps to know. The gas should be known to avoid the overflow of tanks. Okay. Provide the gas or chemical leak detection system to sound, and provide gas or chemical leak detection system to sound an alarm at the control room. But this may or may not be possible, may not be provided. Where it is critical, definitely such things are required. Then, wherever necessary, provide quick remote isolation valves, because uh, based on the criticality, you can have motor operated valve or remote operated valve, so that from distance you can just shut off, further damages controlled. Then fire alarm and firefighting facility comes with the chemical, as mentioned. So this is the thing. An effective communication system like public address system, telephone, and must be available. Whatever we said about the storage tank, same thing is applicable here also. So here you will see the tanker NFPA diamond, and though the diagram is not very clear, but you can see it displays the NFPA diagram, plus whether it is 3P and all those things, they are all shown here on different sides of the tanker. This is very important, so that one cannot make mistakes on this. That is the thing. These are the places where emergency information panel should be displayed. This is the regulation. So before the tanker goes on the road, they must be displaying, and they must be carrying the same chemical, not otherwise. LPG tanker means LPG, it must carry LPG only. It is not meant for propane or something. That is what it is. And if it is to be used, then provisions are to be made, and permissions are to be approved, uh, uh, taken. So these are the places where emergency information panel should be displayed at the tank truck vehicle in front, and upper side class label should be displayed to easy identification purpose in case of emergency. This is, so common man may not understand, But as I said, the firefighting people or the people who are actually handling these things, definitely they will understand these things. So now, safe disposal of empty containers of hazardous chemicals. Uh, Safe disposal of empty containers should be used, should be done based on the guidelines given by the manufacturer. Because each manufacturer gives the guideline how the empty containers have to be disposed. Many times, what happens, they may take back the container. That is one thing. That is the best thing, so that there is no issue. They will otherwise, yeah, if it is not there, then you should decontaminate and safely dispose of. So this is all given by the manufacturers. So their instruction have to be followed. Second is safe disposal of stock of expired hazardous chemical. The chemical which is already expired, lost its capacity. There also has to be, because still it will have some side effects. So it has to be disposed of carefully. In such cases, based on the guidelines given by the manufacturer, again, manufacturer gives the guidelines how to dispose of in such a case where the chemicals are expired. Then, as a precaution, first in and first out practice should be adopted. This is normally warehouse people, we are supposed to maintain this to ensure consumption of chemicals before reaching the expiry date. But sometimes what happens, the requirement is not there. It may lie for many years. So, for example, gasket, it may lose its validity over a period of time. So, like that. Though the gasket is not coming into the chemical category, I'm just telling as an example. So, like that. So, one has to be careful with this. So, the safety data sheet of hazardous chemicals used in petroleum industry, the OSDS, OSD has given the format that four, 8 paragraphs, ninth and 10th are for individual data sheets. 8 paragraphs, they have to be, each para are given that, and each para deals with what, that is also mentioned. So more than about 60 sheets are there in that. So it may not be possible to show here. So you can refer the ways this standard 114. You can see all these things are displayed there. So para 1 shows the identity of the chemical. Then para 2, important physical and just a minute. So the para 1, identity of the chemical. The para 2, important physical and chemical properties of each chemical. Para 3, the fire and explosion data. Para 4, reactivity data. Para 5, health hazardous data. Para 6, preventive measures and emergency. And para 7, first aid measures. And para 8, additional information or references. And para 9 and 10 deal with individual data sheets or supplements given by the manufacturer or the supplier's data. This is how it is. So we see in the data sheet, you will know how it is given. And in detail, this information is given. So there cannot be any mistakes on that. Now, what are the do's and don'ts in case of any accident, leakage happens? First is the possible drive out of populated areas. So anytime the drivers, the tank, especially the tanker trucker drivers, they were so cautious about that. If they realize some leak has happened, they used to drive to some remote area. Even if there is leak, the casualty chances are very less. So they are so cautious, and it has saved uh, many people on that. This is what it talks about. If possible, drive out of populated areas. Otherwise, suppose if it is going into a city, so suddenly there is a leak, and many people can get affected. So this is the problem. Identify the cargo, refer labels, and TREM. That is, TREM is transport emergency. Each truck driver is supposed to carry this card, TREM card, and it is contains full instructions what to do, what not to do, and all those things. And he is supposed to know how to handle it. Like a training is given to this such drivers. In case of major leak of highly inflammable gas or vapor, do not start the engine. Especially, if, for example, if there is any leak from the LPG tanker and the tanker is the engine is off, one should not try to switch on the tanker this one engine and drive away to save this. That is, then he'll instead of trying to save the situation, he may land in problem because the exhaust spark can come and explode. So that is what it is. In case of major leak, not start the engine. Order on order onlooker to leave the affected area. There should not be anybody watching the area. It's not a fun to watch because by watching they may get affected. That's why people should not be allowed to stand nearby. Then stop pilferage of the leaked substance. This is a generally happens. Suppose the tanker is carrying diesel or kerosene or petrol, and if the tanker topples, and there will be definitely spillage of liquid. Immediately nearby villages and others, they bring bucket to collect the material and go, without realizing that this can cause problems. Many people died in that incident, in such cases. Suppose if the tank is carrying petrol, and if they take it in a bucket and go, someone is smoking, everyone will be in problem. So like that, even that will happen for kerosene or diesel also. So that is not acceptable actually. The whole area has to be cordoned, and no one is allowed to enter the area except the authorized people. This is normally the case. Secure the accident area and divert the traffic. Naturally, traffic will be there on both sides, so they have to be diverted. Someone has to volunteer and do that. Remove affected persons for first aid. In the event of electrical fire, isolate the battery of the vehicle. In case of fire, inform the fire station to avoid the inhalation of fumes. In case of leaks, see if it can be arrested easily. But here, that people who are knowledgeable, only should try to attempt. Half knowledge can be dangerous in both ways. Contain the spills by covering with sand is a age-old method, and avoid direct contact with skin. That is, wash with water. Washing with water is generally the best way to reduce the impact. Use necessary protective clothing like PVC apron. In case of contact with the eyes or skin, wash with plenty of water. Then major contamination. In case of major contamination, remove clothing immediately. Just take it out so that further damage will not happen to them. skin. So on the left side, I had given some key points. That is, no emergency phone numbers. It is again displayed on the tanker itself. One can see. Know how to control the spill. No proper equipment shutdown procedure. No proper evacuation routes and assembly area. This must be known to the people. This thing can happen inside or outside. So both ways is possible. Now, suppose people have taken inside, something has gone inside, then what? How to do the first aid in the case of chemical accidents? First aid for chemicals in the eyes. If it has gone into eyes, do not rub the eyes, hold the eyelids open and flush with water for 15 minutes. Be careful not to contaminate the outer other eyes. Seek help. Then first aid for chemicals on the skin. Flush area with lukewarm water. Remove clothing and jewelry from the burn area. Seek additional medical attention. First aid for chemical inhalation. Suppose it has gone through the nose. Move victim to fresh air. Get immediate help. Induce for chemical ingestion. Induce vomiting only if told by poison control. Get immediate medical attention. So these are the things which is to be taken care. And there are, I have given some few incidences which are related to chemical handling. First is the intermixing of drums of chemical. This is the additive area or blending area where it has happened. The drums came for blending. Wrongly, drums were sent from warehouse. Luckily, they found out, but already some damage was done. That is what it is. So intermixing of drums of chemical, that particular number, and the lubricity additive during delivery at tank farm dosing area. Consumption of some of the wetting agent drums also in the diesel blending. They got intermixed. So reasons of failure or root cause, intermixing of drums of chemical, loss or outcome, product quality deviation, impact on the logistics and refinery operations, and the process upsets and reliability related issues. So this is a cost impact on this particular one, and sometimes it may damage the engines also possible. So and not only that, reputation of the company also is at stake. If wrong quality material goes outside and gets reported, and company's reputation uh, get into problem. So there are some impacts on this. The second one is a fire incident due to leakage of motor spirit from insulating flange joint. The reasons of failure: profuse leakage of motor spirit. Motor spirit is nothing but petrol from insulating flange joint, flange gasket, or aging of sleeves. It can be any reason. So failure of grip at the flange joint. Third one, uh, generation of spark due to release of accumulated charge with MS resulted in immediate fire. Accumulated charge means it is static electricity. So anything could have caused the fire. The loss was the product and production loss and injury to one person. One person got injured in this incident. This happened in one of the refineries, this particular incident. Then third one is location LPG bottling plant. It's a fatal incident during degassing process of 150 metric ton capacity above ground LPG storage bullet. they were trying to replace the magnetic level gauge by radar gauge, and due to they didn't follow the proper procedure, so non-compliance of standard operating procedures by location, personnel, and contractor. So loss or outcome was two casualties. So people should be more careful by handling such chemicals. So many accidents occurred due to lack of understanding of the safe handling of hazardous chemicals or non-observance of its inherent safety measures. This is the thing which will come out in any accident. So one has to be really cautious about this and must be trained well and knowing what they are doing. That is important. This understanding is a must and useful for the safety of the persons in charge of the work, the safety of the persons in charge of the process, and risk management of the process and the equipment. If that happens, it can save your life and others also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir,
Yeah,
for sparing your time and taking this valuable session. We'll move forward to answering to the queries, sir.
yeah.
So, in NFPA diamond, where does the gray diamond represented in quadruple?
It is not shown. It is understood that uh, there is no impact. That is why they are not shown.
Okay, sir. How to handle pyrophoric materials?
Pyrophoric material you can handle. Generally speaking, pyrophoric material is handled by keeping it wet with water. So the impact is bare minimum or negligible. Sometimes what
Okay,
happens if the material is too large in quantity, you can use a very diluted potassium permanganate solution and sprinkle it, followed by water, so that you can control the situation.
okay, sir. How to handle material having very low flash point of 19 degree and TWA of zero point 0.5 ppm.
How to handle OSD
Mati-
directive clearly says, you do not catch the point. How to handle means
uh, the, the question is like that, sir. How to handle material having very
I don't, what he wants to, uh, what he's asking actually, how to handle means what?
uh, 1 minute, sir. Mr. Chetan Patel, can you brief your question? Can you elaborate your question? Okay, sir. If he responds, I'll get back to that
No, it's
question, sir.
otherwise you can
We'll
prove, yeah,
we'll
so
move forward to the next question, sir.
yeah.
Please brief on chemical transportation, TREM card, stationary requirements, requirements for tanker, cargo, loading from bottom to top, vapor space ratio to liquid space in it.
See, this is too technical on that. I didn't want to uh, go for that. Okay. So,
Oh,
depending on the design, depending on the instructions, this is all handled. This cannot be generalized just like that. Okay, this will be too technical to tell here at this forum. You have to go to a particular site and they specify you have to maintain such pressure, such temperature, all these things, and you have to go by that.
okay, sir. Please brief on toner for CL2 and SO2 handling.
Please brief on.
Toner for CL2 and SO2 handling.
Chlorine clearly specified in the refinery area. SO2 normally they don't handle in the refinery premises. There are some set restrictions. As for the chlorine, I can tell. As per the design, it is supposed to be in a isolated area at an elevated place. I think it is all mentioned in the uh, direct this one 114 itself. Should be in the elevated area and should be totally isolated, and it should have the uh, this one neutralizing bit, and it should have the pressure controlling mechanism, and it should have the hoist to lift this one to avoid the manual handling, and to place the cylinder in the right place, and connecting this one piping. Everything is given in that design as per that, and it should be totally ventilated. It should have the alarm system. It should be connected to the nearby control room if required, or if the operators are nearby, there is no issue, they can hear. Then the firefighting systems are must be available there, and including a safety shower and eye wash. These are all the must, and plus PPE should be nearby. That is special protective equipment, we can take it. So these are the things must be followed for chlorine.
Okay, sir. Uh, could you brief on red color similarity on code on LPG and fire extinguisher cylinders?
What is it? Question? What is the question?
Could you brief on red color similarity on code on LPG and fire extinguisher cylinders?
See, fire extinguisher cylinder is generally for to fight the fire. There is no specific thing for the LPG. Okay. For LPG handling areas, normally in the refinery premises, they have the water hydrants and nearby. So that is how they are handled. And if at all any fire is taking place on a LPG cylinder or a sphere, they cool down the nearby spheres so that the nearby spheres don't get heated up and get pressurized. And in addition to that, existing the fire, the cylinder which is having the fire, getting the fire, that also will be cooled at the bottom, so that only evaporation takes place, not the liquid comes out. Because this is how it is normally handled. And for oil fires, it's a different issue. They have to put foam and everything. So this one. But otherwise, for LPG, this is how it is handled.
Okay, sir. Is it mandatory to use loading unloading arm to be used for tankers, unloading, loading for hydrocarbon as well as chemical?
If the chemical is used, handled in bulk, probably they may use it, depending on the this one. But for refineries, chemical usages are limited. They are not. They are handling hydrocarbons in bulk, so that's why they have the gantry at terminals and other areas. And inside the refinery operating units, there is the transfer takes place generally by pumping or piping. So there, the tanker movement is very much restricted unless the tanker brings some chemical into the tank. So the bulk of the material loading or unloading is on that happens in the terminal areas where you send diesel, kerosene, and all those things through tanker, through in the gantry area, or through railway wagons. There it is more bulk, or through ships and other things. That is how it is.
Okay, sir. So there are no more questions. With
Okay.
this, we'll wind up the session. I once
Okay.
again thank you, sir, for this session. And thank you all the participants who have participated, who have joined the session. Hope this session would be very much useful for upskilling your knowledge and skills. So to register for the assessment, kindly click on the link mentioned in the description in both LinkedIn and YouTube. and assessment and participants clearing the assessment will be awarded with the certificates. You can also join the WhatsApp group mentioned in the description, WhatsApp training group. We'll be sharing the material so you can take a look on it. So once again, thank you all the participants and thank you so much, sir. We'll end the
Thank you, madam.
session.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.